Hi everyone, I'm Alicia with Plant Addiction in Central Pennsylvania, Zone 5B, 6A. In today's video, I'd like to talk to you about watering your houseplants. Watering your houseplants. They always say, oh, well, water it and keep it moist. And how moist? Isn't all water moist? I mean, let it dry out. Well, how much do you let it dry out? Do you let it dry out till it's let it dry out? Let it dry out. Well, how far is drying out? Do you let it go bone dry? Do you like a cactus? Do you let it go halfway dry? Well, today I want to discuss exactly in a way that you can replicate it at home because I want you to succeed in growing your houseplants. I mean, we all buy the houseplants because we enjoy them, and I'd like to see more of us succeed and not to have it so confusing and complicated. All right? So to start out with, the most important tool that I've ever used was this right here. This is a moisture meter. Now, this is a three-way one that gives you a light measurement, pH measurement, and your moisture. Okay, so I'm going to put a picture up on the screen here in a minute, and it's going to show you right where the needle is, because if you notice on these, every one I've ever gotten, it starts out over here in the red when you have the light and it's not in soil. It starts out on the 1. Not at the 0. It starts at the 1. So starting out with nothing, no moisture at all, that it's on a 1. So if you ever get it where you check your plant and it's at 1, there is absolutely no moisture in that pot at all. Okay, so I'm gonna go over some things that I show you here where I say if it's 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. The little numbers right above the red, the blue, and the green bars in there. That's what you want to go by, okay? These are only like $12. I'm not sponsored for any of these things that are here. I don't get paid for it. These are the tools that I use that work well for me. I'm not an expert. I'm just a plant enthusiast, and I want to share what I know. I've been doing this for more than 10 years, and I think that more people need to share exactly their techniques because it can be quite confusing. A lot of people want to help others, but we're all confused about the specifics of everything. So this way it's a more detailed, and it doesn't matter what environment you're in, you'll always know, because if you use this moisture meter, you'll know exactly how moist or dry or how far to go before you need to water it again. Okay. The other thing is this is really important, is your temperature and hygrometer, your humidity temperature thing here. I go through a lot of these, and I have them around everywhere I have plants. In a room, I have one of these so that I know exactly what my temperature is and what the humidity is, because it's very important when it comes to your watering. How much humidity in the air will determine on how frequent you need to water, how much water. So if you keep your humidity at least 60%. I don't have a humidifier in here. This is just the normal Northeast climate. It's always hot and humid. So this is my normal temperature in here. Sometimes it gets up to 77% as well. Sometimes even more. I keep some plants out on my front porch and it gets up pretty high, sometimes even 83% out there. Keep your humidifier on at least 60%. That should be plenty. It works with a lot of varieties of plants. 60% seems to work very well for a lot of them. There are a few more that would like it a little bit higher, and that's okay too if you want to do that. It won't harm your other plants. So your temperature and your humidity is going to be like the most important. You're going to keep an eye on that. Make sure if your humidity goes down in your room, your plants are going to dry out faster, and you're going to need to keep an eye on the watering. And you're also going to have to up your humidifier. So the other thing is, like I said, I like to keep the humidifier. Make sure you put distilled water in it, or some water that you had sitting out. A lot of times the humidifiers with regular tap water, they get dirty and they get like a mineral buildup on them. So make sure you at least clean them out regularly with some vinegar, just to make sure that they run and are working properly. The other thing you're going to want to do is have a fan, have an oscillating fan. You don't want hot and humid, stagnant air.
that is going to be a breeding ground for bacteria and fungus and bugs, fungus gnats. Fungus gnats, anywhere it's moist, the fungus gnats come. You can try some mosquito bits that works very well and sprinkle it onto your soil. It works really well. I find that works better than a lot of the soil drenches that take a lot of time, and it seems to work pretty good. Anyway, your fan should be an oscillating fan. That way it will circulate the air in the whole room. All right. It's not going to just be in the one area constantly blowing on your plants. You don't want it constantly blowing because then it is going to dry your plants out. It's going to dry the leaves out. So you want it to oscillate off and on, and you want it just enough so that it's making the leaves just barely move and blow. And then you want it to give the plant a rest for a second and then come back and blow again, just like as if it was outside. It's not going to be enough also to dry them out, but you do want to still make sure your humidity is correct. That'll help keep it from drying the tips of your leaves and stuff out. If you do find that the tips of your leaves are drying out, then that is probably a sign that you're underwatering. So again, check your meter. Check your meter, check your meter, check your meter. Okay? It's very important. This meter here is a game changer for a lot of people. It really helps to know exactly how much moisture is in there. You do want to check to make sure it's working properly from time to time, and you want to check your plants several times a week until you get to know exactly which plants need how much water and when. And then when the seasons change, you also want to keep an eye on things because the water needs are going to change for the plant as the temperature in the room and the humidity in the room changes. Okay, so getting back to the meter itself, what I wanted to tell you was the bog plants, all your plants that like to live in water and bog, obviously they're going to be the only plants that should be up here in the wet section. All right, if your plants are ever in the wet section, when you go to check it and it's not a bog plant, you need to cut back on your watering now. All right, cut back on that watering or you're going to rot that plant. As a matter of fact, take that plant out and repot it in some proper soil because your soil is holding on to the moisture way too long. If you check them and it says it's wet and it's not a bog plant, you need to change the soil. Change it to a faster draining soil with like some bark bits in it, some more perlite or vermiculite, gravel, whatever you can get it to drain a little bit better because you don't want it ever to be over in this wet section unless it's a bog plant. The other thing is, as you see, there's a wet and then there's a moist in the green here. And then over here on the right, there's the red zone, which is the dry section. Most of your plants want to dry out to some degree. Almost every plant wants to dry out to some degree before you water it again. So don't keep it consistently. That's consistently moist. Yes, consistently moist. But if you look at this meter, there the green has a wide angle on it. So anywhere in there is consistently moist. Okay. But if you let it get down to like 1.5, and then you water it, some plants don't like that. A lot of plants don't like that because that's not consistently moist. That's a wet dry cycle. All right. Now your philodendrons and your aroids, your monsteras and stuff like that, they love that. They love that wet dry, wet dry, wet dry type thing. But your calatheas and your ferns and your trying to think what else. Your peace lilies and things like that, they don't like that. They don't like that at all. They want to be consistently moist. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to keep it in the green constantly nonstop. That's not what that means. Keeping it consistently moist, wait for your calatheas and all them that I'm talking about. Wait until it gets down into number 3 on your meter, or even between 2 and 3, and then water. Okay. And then when you water, don't drown them. Don't Water until it's flooding out the bottom. They don't really like that. They don't want that. That's too wet for them. So what you want to do is you want to water where it's lightly coming out the bottom. Water enough to where it's just coming out and just dripping out the bottom a little bit. And then that's it. Don't give them any more. Let it go until it goes back down in at the 3 or down even into the 3, down 2.5, I guess it would be, to 3. And then water it again. All right. In the wintertime, you can cut back just slightly more on the watering if your house is under 70 degrees. If it's under 70 degrees, cut it back just a little bit. The volume of water is what I'm saying. Cut back the volume, not the frequency, the volume of water, just a little bit in the wintertime if your house is under 70 degrees. Right? For your, like I said, your aeroids and all that, water them, let them get down to 2. 2. Let them dry out, almost bone dry. Not quite. They're still going to be a little slightly moist at 2. All right. Don't let it get down to 1. They don't want to be bone dry. They don't want to be like a cactus. Down to 2. Water them, let it run through, and then water them again. Let it run through again. And then once it's done dripping, then put them back in their cache pot. Okay? That's how I do it. The other thing is like your cactuses and succulents and everything. Obviously, you want this. The succulents usually I let go down to almost 1, almost, before I water again. But I like to touch their leaves and see if they're squishy or if they're hard. If the leaves are firm, I don't water it. If they're starting to feel a little squishy, I'll give them a little bit of water, not a lot. If I can bend them, if I can bend the leaves, like squeeze them together and bend them, then I will water them well, let it drain out, and then I don't water them again for a long time. The other thing is you can look at your succulents and see if they're starting to pucker or wrinkle at all. If they're starting to get a little bit wrinkly, it's time to water them. All right. Those ones, obviously, cactus and succulents and all, you can let them dry out really well. Your sansevierias and all, I keep them slightly moist. I keep them down on the 2. I might not water them for sometimes even a month or 2 at a time. Other times, like if I have them out in the front porch and they're drying out a lot faster, I might have to water them every 2 weeks to every week. It all depends. I water and then I let it go down to a 2. And then I water really, really well, and I make sure that your soil is very fast draining. All right, your cactuses, same thing. Your cactuses, I even let them go even drier a lot of times because you don't want them to sit in moist soil for too long. They need to have like super fast drying. So check it, just check it. If it's down on the 1, water it. If it's not, if it's in like a 1.5 or 2, you might get away watering it lightly, and then wait again before you water it again. Okay. Coming up in my other videos, I'm going to be going through specific plants that I have. I have a lot of plants. I'm not exactly sure exactly how many. I have a lot of plants, and I will be doing videos on all of them and telling you exactly where they are on the meter before I water them again. All right. This was just a quick overview. So if you want to stick around for those, they'll be upcoming in the next few weeks. I'll be putting out more videos on that, and also some of the other tools that I use and the way that I water my plants and how I take care of them. So if you like my videos, please like and subscribe. I'll also be having some gardening videos coming up too. I have a lot of David Austin roses. I have palm trees. I have banana trees. Yes, I am in zone 5B, 6A, but I do keep them and I do overwinter them, and I can show you how I do them as well. So stay tuned. Every week I'll be putting out several videos. So just like and subscribe if you want to see them. All right. Thank you very much.